Right, so now that I've remembered that Friday doesn't actually have a class for Year 11s in it, I thought what I would do is just look at the difference between Shakespeare's theatre and other theatre, because that'll come in handy to be revised, and it gives me an excuse to play with my pop-ups. Can't find a Shakespeare action figure, but we'll make do, all right?
Right, welcome to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, or the pop-up version. If you thought that I stole this one from school, you're wrong, I own my own. So, can't find a Shakespeare action figure, but it does come with some actors. But more importantly, because these guys are annoying, I did find a duck, and I did find a teeny tiny unicorn. So if nothing else, that's quite exciting. So what do we have here indeed? Time to get my wand, I reckon, because that'll be another handy addition. Right, okay. So, Shakespeare's Theatre. All this at the top, this is open sky. So the plays are occurring during the day. All right. So there's no lighting, there's no real sound effects. Up the top, there's these windows. And in there you can drop things. They put a cannon, which you might be able to see there. The cannon that when they blew it, it set fire to the actual theatre and destroyed one of them. Because there's been several theatres and they've got a thatched roof. So the roof is made of thatching, which is basically just, imagine straw or hay. And you all know the story of the Three Little Pigs. So you can imagine what happens if the big bad wolf comes to Shakespeare's Theatre. These guys at the bottom, these are the groundlings. Now even today, if you were in London, you'd be paying £5 to stand here and watch an entire play. And I really do mean stand. So we're just going to put Mother Goose in here, because I can. And you will stand for the entire play. You're not allowed to sit, it's a health and safety risk. Everybody does sit at half time because there's nothing better to do, to be honest. You get your pie, you get your beersy, but mostly you're sitting down and resting your legs. So you're standing in amongst lots of other people. These guys here will be leaning on the stage. The stage has got three sides and then a back wall over here. Now, if we move our little ducky, knocked over the unicorn. If we move the duck over here to this corner, what we've got is someone who's on the stage. Clearly everybody can see the duck. There's all these people in the back, up in these gallery seats, that will be seeing the back end of the duck. So it's quite different from how we imagine acting on a traditional stage today. If we move our unicorn right back here, everybody can see the unicorn. There's a lot of things that can happen as well. Up this very back here, you've got a balcony. So if you're Romeo and Juliet, you can use this musician's balcony and have a nice love scene, or any other reason why you might want to be using it. So these people up the sides, these are our high status people. These guys, even today, are paying more money for their seats because they're actually getting a seat. And you can hire a cushion and sit down. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. I think stand down the bottom. My favourite place to be is down the bottom right on one of the sides and lean on the stage, to be completely honest. Right, so you've got these high status people, particularly these guys at the back. They're paying a lot of money to be seen to be at Shakespeare's Theatre. Right? So how does this change what's happening in the performance? If you go along today to witness Shakespeare's Theatre and a helicopter flies over the top, often you'll find the actors will stop on stage and look up at the helicopter and just wait until it all passes and goes. Because you can't soundproof from that stuff. Sometimes it happens and it's at very fortuitous moments and you can talk about silence and then there's a big noise and everybody in the audience goes, ha, 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 ha. Now, because it is daylight, you can't black out all of these faces. So when you're acting, you know exactly how everybody is feeling about you and your character. So that's handy. It also means that if it is nighttime, you've got to do something on stage to make it believed that it's nighttime. Sometimes all it takes is to be carrying a lantern and going, cold. And that's basically the start of Hamlet right there. All these guys who are standing and watching, they're actively involved in what's going on. I liked watching one where somebody was acting on stage and they stole a beersy from someone in the audience and just drank it and then handed it back. Because they can do that. There's actor-audience relationship that's going on. Because everybody can see everybody else's faces on three sides. Right. Sometimes these actors will come out into the ground area itself and perform further out here. Sometimes they'll build even more stage out from the front. But mostly what we're talking about is this thrust stage that's the only piece of covering, is this covering over the actual stage. If it rains, you get wet. If it's a thunderstorm, you get electrocuted. You probably don't get electrocuted because I don't think they'd really perform in a thunderstorm. But the weather needs to be quite bad to cancel a performance, is the main thing. You can't have flashy lights, you can't do all that kind of stuff. You need to rely on things like your musicians will be up in the gallery and they'll be playing music live. Your performers on stage aren't going to be microphoned. But the shape of the theatre is going to mean that you can be heard. It's a really small space. To be honest, we could fit it inside of our school auditorium really easily. All right. Now let's compare that to my other cardboard stage. So here's my cardboard proscenium stage. So what we've got here is a stage that you more recognise. We've got curtains on the outside. We've got a raised area. We've got a stage on it. We've got a nice pleasant little backdrop. We've still got our unicorn and our duck. Your audience is going to be seated out in front. Now automatically you're going to see that this is more reminiscent of what we consider to be televisions, because it's kind of the idea that what you're watching is this screen or this fourth wall that's invisible. You can represent the world around you that you can't do in the Shakespearean stage because there's doors in a musician's gallery and audiences and stuff like that with backdrops. If we just change our little cardboard backdrop here, because Cole killed the unicorn. It's not been a good day for the unicorn. And now all of a sudden we're in a different location. All right, so we've gone from being outside in the forest and now we're inside in someone's stately living room. And that's happened really quickly. If you're in Shakespeare's stage, that happens by basically saying, oh, we are now inside a stately living room, rather than seeing it happen. This one here basically relies on the audience. Well, the audience doesn't have to do anything. It just has to sit there and be entertained, because you don't have to make up your mind about anything. Everything that happens on the stage, you're having it explained to you. You can see that this is a living room because we've got living room things in it. Whereas in Shakespeare's set, it might just be one chair is brought in because there's not going to be a lot of set used. When it gets to the end of the living room scene and we go on to the outside, I have no idea what play we're pretending to perform here. I don't want to kill the unicorn yet again. Oh, I killed the unicorn. The struggle is real, let's be honest. Okay, so we've now got... get in there, get in there. Yeah, right. Now we're outdoors. We've killed both the unicorn and the duck. This is just not good. Not good all round. Let's put them back up there to carry on starring in this play, The Unicorn and the Duck. So we've changed our background. We've got a different environment. We can tell it's a different environment. We're asking less of the audience. So which is better? Who knows? This particular sort of stage, we're indoors, so we're not going to get wet. We're sitting down, so we can be entertained. Now, those of you who have been around in my class long enough will know that this form of entertainment has annoyed so many theatre practitioners over the years, because if you can sit back and be entertained, you can forget about what's going on in the world around you. So people like Brecht came along and said, let's try and break that down, because what's more important is that people think about what's going on rather than just be entertained by what's in front of them. Right? So clearly we do see Shakespeare performed today on proscenium arch stages. Most schools have a proscenium arch stage. Ours is halfway in between. We've got the flat performance space with arena style seating, but we still have this proscenium and we still have a curtain. So we're somewhat in the middle of all sorts of different styles of theatre. Do we like using backdrops? Well, no, but that's just me. We do, however, have a cyclorama, so we can project onto the backdrop. So we can fall into those sort of lazy tricks as well, of being able to transport people to different locations just physically by changing what's in the background. So in Shakespeare's day, you didn't have this opportunity. You weren't indoors. You were outside, you were surrounded by people, and everybody was enjoying the play together. This here is more theatre for the elite because it costs a lot more to put on a performance where everybody gets a comfortable seat, and there tend to be plays about people who are higher status. All right? So hopefully that's vaguely useful to you. And it will come in handy a little bit further on. And if you've started to think about the nature of what's going on in Twelfth Night in the first place, where we've got Viola, who's dressed as a boy, and you've got, well, the other character had been given as the Duke. It would have been much nicer to be given Olivia, to be honest. So when Viola arrives on the island and she starts dressing as a boy, she's then playing a different status, because women don't have a role in Shakespeare's society of being able to choose or having that freedom to wear pants, those freedoms that are granted to men. So in many respects, Twelfth Night is a play that's breaking a lot of social norms based solely on the fact that you've got characters like Viola, who is a woman pretending to be a man. And this is such a no-no. And then you've got a man over here who starts having feelings for, well, his manservant. And then, yes, so that's not allowed either. And then you get Olivia, who starts having feelings for Cesario, who's Viola in disguise as a boy. But does she even know that it's a boy, or does she know it's Viola? Who knows? So it's a play very much about status. And status was important to Shakespeare because he wasn't writing his plays for people of high status so much as it was for the people who were the groundlings at the bottom. These are everyday plays for everyday people. Everybody came and saw them, and everybody still can go along and see them at Shakespeare's Globe. All right, my lovelies, have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend, and I will catch up with you on Monday.